Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Shoe Podcast. I'm your co-host Ryan Landry.
I'm your co-host Tanner Young.
We are sitting down today with the only man who has more W's in his Instagram name than W's in your sneakers account, the one and only Stu MacFadyen. Stu, thank you for coming on the show.
Appreciate it. Thanks.
It's
been a long time, but we made it.
Long time in the making. Yeah. Well, you know, I don't want to say save the best for last because we're not going out for this, but save the best for now.
It all works out.
It all works out. It all works out in a beautiful way. Yeah. So you are obviously an insanely talented photographer. You have a background in live sound, concert photography, also landscape, but probably most recently, and what a lot of people know you for, product photography for Sneaker Politics. So for everyone that doesn't know you, can you just give like a quick intro on yourself, a little bit about, you know, who you are, where you grew up?
Yeah, for sure. My name's Stu MacFadyen. I'm from Lafayette, Louisiana. I currently am the creative director for Politics, basically managing and handling all of our creative team. That spans of like, I think we're at six people now, six different guys. So yeah, I grew up in Lafayette, Louisiana, born in Houston, spent a little bit of time in Colorado when I was younger, but yeah, Lafayette's my home. I currently live in Dallas, so
Gotcha.
Glad to be back in Baton Rouge though.
Good to have you here. Just like Garth Brooks, we are calling Baton Rouge on this one, calling him back home. So you grew up in Lafayette, and then when did photography really kind of start for you?
For me, it probably started, it was either like the early Instagram days, I think. I mean, I didn't even have a phone. I had an iPod at that point.
The iPod like Touch or just
iPod Touch.
Yeah.
Instagram dropped probably like a year after I got on Instagram, year or two. I mean, I think like, I don't know. Do y'all remember what year that was?
No, I definitely don't. I just remember Toaster Filter had like a grip on all of us for a solid 2 years.
Yeah, so it was the Instagram, sort of like start of Instagram. And then my dad had a family Sony camera, just like a point and shoot Sony. Like it was like top of the line digital for that time, you know, for like a nice family camera to bring on vacations and things like that. So I was probably like 12, 13, 14. And yeah, I would just like, I'd be like, hey dad, can I like borrow the camera? I'm going to go outside and like take photos of like the sunset. And then what's funny about back then was I was really into the editing part of it.
Really?
And I don't know if y'all have ever used, I think it was called Picasso. It was like a Google.
A
Google editing software.
I remember that.
But I would go heavy saturation grain, like it was
black and white crank to max, and you're like, behold art.
Yeah, it was a little extreme, but that's where the love started for it. And after that, I actually picked up an old film camera of my dad's that he had basically used. Same thing, you know, back in the 90s, you know, no digital. It was like right on the cusp of the digital camera.
Yeah.
So it was a film camera, but it was a Nikon N70.
Okay.
I think. Yeah. And so it was a really nice camera to learn on, and it was still film. So got to get that
like the hybrid of both worlds.
Yeah, I mean, it had like a reader where you could read aperture and stuff.
Okay.
Most of it was entirely digital besides the film part of it.
Okay, gotcha.
Like it had LCD screens like telling you like info on it. But yeah, I got to learn like the art and just like what how photos are like the origin of photography through film, you know, because like I think that's really important because like you know, nowadays everything's digital. Not too many people understand that or know what goes into the craft of film. So that's kind of where it really started to catch on for me.
But film's kind of made like a recent resurgence, like because you're into film now.
During the COVID hunker down stage, I was like, well, I don't really have anything going on, so I ended up picking up just like a starter like Pentax. And then I don't know, like a couple weeks ago, we were in Target, and like the Target brand has like a 35 mil like point and shoot now. So it's weird to see it come back. And the thing that I really got into or really enjoyed about like shooting film was like you don't have hundreds of shots that you can really do. So like you had to have more like particular to it, and really it kind of forces that like understanding more, because I have no background in like photography and things like that. Whereas like my wife, like she literally has like her college degree is photography. So I had to like film almost kind of like force that appreciation of photography, because if you're a little bit off, that's it. And you just got to wait months for
And
that
you don't
film to
know
come
it
back.
at the time.
And then you're like, oh, why did this go wrong? And then you learn, and then it forces you to correct that and like kind of like start perfecting it, which is probably, I would say, anyone who is into maybe like shooting like digital photography to shoot on film, because then it gives you that appreciation and those particular details, so that when you do shoot digital, you've got a lot of that like almost like forced training.
Yeah. I mean, I've like heard it described, and I can account for it too. Like, it's almost like a dream when you get back that film. It's like,
Oh yeah,
you know, it's like, oh, I totally forgot that I took that photo, but it
You
looks
had that
so,
moment.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that moment's captured in time, you know?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I appreciate about film. But the funny thing is, yeah, the resurgence of film has become so much of a thing now that, like, I mean, during the pandemic, I got into like more point and shoot film, because, you know, nowadays I wasn't really using film as much, but I was like, you know what, let me buy like a really cool point and shoot camera that I can shoot film on, just like, you know, go hang out or with friends, go on trips, that sort of thing. And from now till then, I think because of the resurgence of film and like people learning about it more and becoming more engaged within like that sort of niche, I mean, the price of film has gone like up
That's
a
what
lot
you tell
recently.
me. Well, and isn't it kind of ironic that like right around the time that like seemingly all like your corner store drugstores stop processing film in-house, film now is like super popular?
Yeah.
I think you've told me before there's like one person out of New Orleans that'll do it. And
Yeah.
other than that, it's like you got to mail it off.
you got to send it all. Yeah, so it's like the 24-hour like policy. So I hope that it keeps growing, and that maybe we get maybe some more like local people who are gonna get into development. Like it got to the point where I thought about being like, I might as well just invest in like the at-home like developing and just figure it out, because like just buy like the cheapest rolls I can, shoot on it, and then test to see if I can develop it, because it's like the turnaround is so long. And it is nice because you send it off and then it comes back and then you're like, oh man, I forgot about all these shoots, or, you know, I remember that moment, things like that. But film is shot up, and then just, I mean, the cost of developing it. So it's like, and then obviously you're not going to send off like 2 rolls. So you're sending off 18 rolls to get developed. So
yeah, you got to find that happy medium.
it is a tricky thing. Yeah. But it is a very fun, beautiful hobby. And then, like you said, like if you're into photography, it just gives even more of like that appreciation to where everything started, and have more of like the ins and outs of photos.
Yeah.
So starting at 12 or 13, then with, you know, those 1 or 2 cameras, one digital, one kind of analog. When then, am I correct that concert photography is kind of like one of the first niche that you kind of get into from there?
Yeah. I mean, it was a mixture of just like what's going on. Cause like
Right.
I was at that point, I was just the kid with a camera.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
around my
I
friends.
feel like every friend group has one. Every friend group has
Probably.
like the camera, like the friend with the camera. Like when I was growing up, it was, what were the video camcorders called? Flip?
Yeah.
Flip
We
was
had-
like
we had
the
a-
giant
man,
brand,
yes.
but I didn't have Flip because like my parents, like I didn't have an iPod, I had a Zune. They would always kind of get you like the off-brand thing. So mine
Yeah,
wasn't
we have
Flip.
that at home. We have
Exactly.
that.
Yeah, I had like Flop. It was kind of like Flip, but it was Flop. And so I would be filming everything. So yeah, I get that feeling of like every friend group has one that's just kind of capturing everything that's going on. But it's super cool now, like 15 years later, to be look back at all that and be like, oh, I'm glad someone was kind of capturing all that.
Yeah, definitely. So it was a range of stuff. Like I would just go out with friends, like to a park, or we'd honestly be like, hey, like let's just go shoot. Like
Yeah.
let's go shoot. I was into skating at the time, so I was kind of like around that crowd. And then so I actually shot some photos on like that film camera, like around Lafayette. They had the Dust Bowl and a couple
Oh,
other
yeah.
spots.
Yeah.
I would shoot some friends on film, like in the Dust Bowl, or like doing like a tail slide on like somewhere around UL, that sort of thing. So like I was really just interested in capturing everything. So
Yeah.
like it was that into concert stuff, like Downtown Alive.
Yeah.
That was just, I just wanted to go where people were and just capture like that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
So,
for sure.
and that kind of turned into like if we went on a trip, you know, a family trip or something at that time. Yeah. Landscape photography. So I kind of got a lot of different experiences in different like niches of photography,
Yeah.
different genres,
Mm-hmm.
until probably senior year, or actually no, it was probably my sophomore or junior year when people started asking me to like take pictures of them graduating, like
yeah.
Gotcha.
that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Right,
Were you charging for it at first, or were you just kind of
yeah,
doing it?
but
Okay.
it was not. I mean, it was
Well, I
like,
mean, yeah.
very
I'm sure, yeah, for a sophomore in high school, $30 is like the world, you know?
right.
Yeah. So I get that. Yeah, you're still kind of new. You're still kind of cutting your teeth. So it's like, can I charge the same as like whoever's been doing it for however long is? Yeah.
I just want to make sure that they were happy with the
Yeah,
photos.
yeah,
you know?
for
It's
sure.
like, yeah, I'll take your photos. I've never done that before, but
Yeah.
yeah, if your mom wants to print these out and put them on their mantle, I hope they're good enough for that.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, and then moving into product photography, that really didn't start until politics.
Okay.
That story is kind of funny. So I just graduated. I was actually homeschooled.
Okay.
Yeah, so I graduated high school. I have a high school diploma, contrary to popular
You
belief.
say that like you're trying to prove something,
Yeah.
like you're trying to lie.
Now I feel like I need to see a copy.
Derek, I didn't lie on my resume. I do have a high school diploma. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was going to LSU after the summer, and so politics put out a Instagram post about like, we're hiring, we're looking for a photographer. We're trying to hire a photographer, product photography, and I had a bunch of friends that were just like tagging me in it.
Yeah.
And like, I was like, yeah, obviously this is cool. Like, me knowing about politics is a whole nother story too that we can talk about.
Yeah.
But moving into the politics thing, so I applied, brought my resume over there. I mean, I was just graduated high school, and I was moving to Baton Rouge,
Okay.
and they were kind of iffy about it. They were like, well, we want to have somebody like, they were like, we'll probably have to train you, do all this stuff.
They want someone with a little bit more of a portfolio in
Yeah,
it?
more of a portfolio. I mean, and granted, I was a high school kid, so
Right,
it's like,
yeah.
what is this kid reliable? Like, what's going to happen?
Yeah.
That sort of thing.
And at that point, do they already have multiple photographers, or is it still mainly Dustin that's doing everything?
At that time, they had two. It was Dustin and Sophie.
Yeah.
And Sophie was she was moving around. I've only met her a couple of times, but I'm pretty sure she was moving to New Orleans, and I think she was trying to focus more on her own.
Okay, and they wanted someone.
They wanted someone in
Lafayette-based?
Lafayette,
Okay,
basically.
gotcha.
But I was like, oh man, I don't know. Like, I hope this can work or whatever. And I knew Cullen, Derek's son, and I was like, you got to tell him, like
Yeah.
you got to like put in
Yeah.
a word for me and whatever. And eventually, like, he took a chance on me, and yeah, like the first like month or two after that, they were like, all right, like, you're good. You can.
And
you
up
can
until
work.
that point,
Yeah.
did you really have a lot of product photography under your belt, or not as much?
Not really, but the months leading up to like going in for my first like day of the job, I was like super interested, and like I was taking my own shoes at home and just like just like
Style
somebody
them.
would do,
Yeah.
if you're like, oh, I gotta like practice,
Right, exactly,
whatever.
yeah.
And with friends, like taking photos of them like wearing shoes, like
Yeah.
hanging out,
Just
whatever.
getting anything you can.
Yeah, getting anything. But it kind of just clicked for me. And honestly, I mean, with the help of Dustin, which is killer photos at Politics and all product photography and everything, he's ever had to handle. I think learning from him and seeing, like, you just have to like understand the criteria, like in product photography. That's what's kind of hard about it sometimes, is like bringing someone new on. Not, they have great photos, but they have no product photography experience, just like I did.
Sure.
But it just has to like click for you. Like, there's a very specific way to shoot things to make them not look wonky or make them look pleasing to the eye.
Yeah, you have to have that vision for it specifically. And I find that, and we'll get into it probably later, I'm sure as well, that even though y'all now have multiple photographers working for Politics, there's some pretty consistent like visual branding in the shots that come out, to the point that, like, I remember when we had Adam on the show, he was talking about, like, could you guess which shots were his or not? And I mean, granted, I'm not a photographer, so I don't have the eye for it either. But still, I find myself asking a lot of time, I'm like, I don't know who took that, or like, did Stu take that? Did someone else take that? And then you find out there's this new guy that like you never even knew about. So I get what you're saying though about, like you bring someone new on board, but you want to make sure they're kind of in line with what you're already doing. And it's kind of just, you pick it up after time.
Yeah. I mean, it's just about, learning from the people that have been there before, sort of like exactly what you said, like kind of staying within our own brand guidelines of like, how do we shoot product?
Right.
And how do we want to present that to our audience and that sort of thing. And yeah, we'll experiment all the time, try new stuff out, see if things work or not, on foot, off foot, like lighting wise, everything. But yeah, it's learnable. I mean, I'm glad everyone who works for us now, takes killer photos and knows how to, knows how to handle that stuff. But sometimes it just doesn't connect.
I get that.
But yeah, everyone who's been on our team and is still on our team has been amazing to work with and have brought a lot to politics.
Yeah, for sure. And so when you got started in that role, you said they were looking for someone out of Lafayette, but you went to college at LSU, right?
Correct.
So how did that? Were you driving back to Lafayette to shoot, or
no?
They were just fine
They
with
just
it
put
once
a lot
you
of
kind
faith
of.
in you.
They
wow.
Yeah. So the store was here in Baton Rouge with Fletcher, Flex, and we just started just shooting on poster boards in the back of the store.
Yeah.
So it was a lot more like run and gun, like because basically I had like 2 months of working in Lafayette where there was a more, that's where they were taking photos all the time.
Right.
So they had equipment, they had
like an actual studio space for it as well, or
not yet, but it was in the store. It was
okay.
It was they had a separate room in the back of the stock room.
Yeah.
They basically devoted to shooting.
All right, that's cool.
But at that time, actually, more of the photos were taken outside. We would go on location. It's crazy how Lafayette was like the perfect size to be able to like grab 5 pairs of shoes, get in your car, and just like drive around and hit like a couple different spots, and shoot like 5 pairs of shoes in like 2 hours. Like find you could go like down UL if you wanted, bricks or like that waterfall.
By the art museum.
There were just so many like interesting little places, and so I had 2 months of like learning how to shoot, how politics does and that sort of thing, and then moving to Baton Rouge out here, we kind of try to do the same thing, but like Baton Rouge is it's bigger than Lafayette. Right. I didn't know Baton Rouge at all.
You can shoot in front of Mike the Tiger or like a Gordon McKernan billboard. Those are like your 2 options there.
And neither of them are very nice. So, but I mean, we made it work. I mean, over time we found places and locations that worked for our brand and for our photos. And then, we would also do stuff just in the back of the stockroom, which sometimes didn't end up working well if they were like, UPS just dropped off 6 boxes. Like, got to move the little poster board you got on the ground.
You just spent like a morning setting up.
But yeah, it was cool.
That's fun. It's crazy because it seems almost like shooting on location would be more work than just shooting in the back of the shop on a little setup, especially with like all the stuff you have no control over and then the weather on top of that. But I guess it has the potential to make for possibly a more interesting shot than like, just a clean white background, even though sometimes that's maybe just the vibe you're going for.
Yeah. You kind of just have to pick your poison, and that's kind of where things come in. Like, is it worth shooting? Like how can we shoot efficiently, but still, knock as many things out. Like be efficient, but also purposeful with the photography, which is something like we still always we talk about every day, at work. So. That's what we try to. I think our team's really, really great at being efficient, but also still keeping a lot of detail. Because there's a lot of things that you can. This is what I was talking about earlier. So there's a lot of things you can like not remember about shooting product photography. Like, how do the laces look?
Right.
Is the shoe stuffed up enough?
Yeah.
Are we doing laces out? Like, is there like lint on the shoe?
Right.
Like,
so many little details.
Yeah, exactly. And we're shooting a lot of stuff with a macro lens too. So, that comes into play. Like, if the shoe has defects, then like you need to go grab another pair,
That's interesting. I never
considered
that, but I guess for someone that's doing this day in and day out, those things are like drilled into your memory of like, I see this sometimes. And so now I know I just got to check for it every time. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
How much shooting do y'all do? Do y'all still do like not like in a studio? Like, do y'all still do a lot of those shots in like how difficult is it now? I feel like with like social media now, and especially like all of like the people who do like photography, I mean, at least on my Instagram feed, I feel like I see a lot of like the people who do like the product, like you and Dustin and like everybody who like I follow doing that. Do you try and find locations that are more like secluded, or is it kind of like you're in kind of like a public space and it's like, Stu, those are not something I've seen before. Like, do you have those happen or?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, if you're in a more crowded location, you're gonna get some eyes, some heads turning. Like, you usually when we're on location, we're out there with a light.
Yeah.
Most of the times it's probably gonna be for a campaign for like either our own brand or for another brand that we carry that will go, shoot content to support selling their their product, whether it's clothes. For shoes, it's the same thing. But yeah, I mean, if we're out, I mean, for Dallas, for example, like if we're out in like, I'm trying to think. I mean, we could either, if you're in like a downtown space or like, sometimes we'll just go right around the block where the store is, and shoot like some on foot photos or something. And it's like, oh, those fours aren't out yet. Like, what's going on? Like, y'all selling those?
Yeah.
Because everyone's walking around. It's a big city.
And I imagine there's probably a little bit of difference between like, example you gave, those fours that aren't out yet, but everyone's already seen leaked online and knows about, whether like that versus like when y'all did the World's Fair Adidas EQT prototype, where it's like the internet hadn't seen those yet. So you're out taking pictures of those. Bigger reaction for people who haven't seen them before, who might be asking what it is,
Yeah. So yeah, just different levels of stuff. Like, for instance, those are a little bit less. There's a little bit less production around it because we kind of want to. It all comes down to like planning the shoot. Like, what gear can we actually get into the fair? Like they're
right.
Like are we gorilla? Is this a gorilla shoot? Are we?
Right.
Are
you bringing the 6-foot umbrella or not?
Exactly. Yeah. So sometimes we're limited in that way, and we just have to like adapt and learn.
Yeah.
How to use the light within the scene already. But what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, but people are still. It's just like if you're walking around and you're seeing anybody do a photo shoot, you're like stop and look. You're like, oh, what do they have going on? Yeah, what's going on? You know? So we get some looks.
I get that for sure. And so then that's what, 2017 that you get on board with politics?
Yeah.
So that was, 6 years ago. What has been like some of the most memorable moments in the past 6 years of doing shoots, whether it's campaign stuff or just like random funny moments that, you didn't think would be something, but now looking back, it was kind of like a big thing.
Yeah. It's so weird because I started at politics, I knew like, oh, sneakers, like, but I didn't know like how crazy people were for sneakers.
It's the thing,
I didn't
literally
know.
30-year-old men will sit down and podcast about it once a week on the internet. Right. It's the whole thing.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Man, but there's so many. I mean, I go back and think about the block parties. The block parties, like I was unable to go to the original block party for
the New York to Paris.
No, the one before that, it was for the threes.
Oh, the Katrina threes.
Yeah, the Katrina threes.
Yeah, okay.
Man,
were y'all there at all?
No, we were not there.
Unfortunately. Looking back on it though,
Blaine told us stories from that one, which sound hilarious.
Yeah, but yeah, the Jordan 1, where we had our own with the politics P on it, and then we also released the New York to Paris.
Right.
That was a crazy weekend. Let's see, like Alvin Kamara came in the store.
Yeah.
Got to meet Jimmy Gurecki, like OG skatehead.
Yeah, for sure.
Just rolled around. Just like it was insane. Like the amount of people that showed up there and trying to capture that, like just running around like nonstop.
Everything's a moment.
Yeah, everything's a moment. So like that's a crazy one. More recently, we've been doing some stuff with more pro athletes.
Okay.
Football. Yes. More pro athletes. So yeah.
Did you just hear Tanner go?
Yes.
Yeah.
Have been watching that.
So I was able to shoot Jamar Chase. We actually ended up in Cincinnati, met up with him. That was for the the game day collection. Basically, we had a matchup during football season. I think that game was Bengals and Cowboys. So we got to shoot Jamar for the Bengals and then CeeDee Lamb for the Cowboys. And that was really fun. It's cool working with athletes. but also there's, things that, are variables. It's like
Right.
we're out in Cincinnati for 2 days. Weather doesn't look too great.
Yeah.
Like how is this going to work? We got to scout locations, that sort of thing. It's super stressful sometimes,
Right.
but
I imagine also the level of like working with an athlete versus like, Ben, can you throw on the threes real quick? Because I need a shot of it on someone's like, like slightly different pressure level, slightly different schedules and accommodations for all that.
totally. But yeah, that sticks out to me.
How did the relationships with all the athletes start? Because it definitely feels like it's been a spike in the past couple of years where you see more and more campaigns with all of them.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it's really organic. Like we have an organic relationship with CD Lamb in Dallas. Like he comes, Kellen, he comes and shops, and Kellen hooks him up with like new stuff that's coming out. Like, oh, we just got some new politics every days, like that sort of stuff. I mean, he is just an actual shopper of the store.
Gotcha.
And that's the same thing how it's been in New Orleans with Saints players like Kamara and Cam Jordan. So I think we've just been able to sort of like have a little bit higher standards or like notoriety as a brand,
for sure,
to be able to sort of allow that connection to happen. And they're excited. I mean, they've been shopping with us for a long time. So
they rep the brand, obviously.
Exactly. Yeah. And we appreciate that. 100%.
When you do the merch, like with the athletes, like you said, like with the CD Lamb, Kamara, and Chase, are they involved in kind of like the t-shirts and design, things like that? Or is it kind of just like, here's 3 different things, which one do you like best?
Yeah, no, they were 100% involved in the design. Ezra Babineau, killer graphic designer for us, he is involved. He basically communicated with the athletes. For some of the most of the past shirts, they were like a 8-bit video game inspired.
I love those. Those are so cool.
So yeah, he killed that design, and yeah, basically like we'll send the mock-ups to the athletes and be like, yo, like, got any?
What do you think?
Yeah, what do you think? And they're like, oh, that's sick. Like can't wait. Like and it's cool because they're like more limited runs, and I mean, more limited runs of shirts. Like we'll probably do like 100, 150 units. And I mean, they do pretty well. I mean, it's kind of like one of those hype factors because most of those little capsules are all charity based anyway.
That's true. I remember
so
that.
we team up with that athlete. They're involved within the design process and deciding what charities they actually want to donate the profits.
To.
The profits of that collection to. So we try to make everything about giving back as much as possible.
And it's cool that they're so involved, more so than just like a model that shows up on the day of it.
Because it definitely seems like I feel like a lot is that behind the scenes that you don't know. Like a lot of the times, like for someone who's just like a consumer of like a lot of the merch, it's like, oh, are they actually like involved in it, things like that. And then you get a lot of that crossover. Like when you make that merch with an athlete, you're getting people who are just they like repping politics. They're going to support politics, or into just like a sneaker street culture kind of brand. But then you also just get people who are like, nope, just love the Bengals.
Yeah.
Just want to rep their merch. So you really get literally everyone kind of involved in that and who are going to want to be a part of that. So yeah, I would imagine that product is like super easy to just move because you have so many different ranges of different cultures being like, want that just because of X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, that was a great thing. And especially because of Jamar Chase, LSU roots, and he's from New Orleans. So like a lot of people, even not Bengals fans or Bengals fans because of him in, the Louisiana area ended up winning the shirt.
Oh,
too.
yeah. There are so many Louisiana fans who are like, I'm a Bengals fan just because of how many LSU players are on that team.
Yeah. I was also going to say, going back to shoots that stand out, I had to think for a second because it's been so long. But
it's only been 6 years. You've only had a handful of shoots.
Oh, my God. That's crazy. Forum.
I was going to ask you about those. Perfect. That's why I wore them.
Were crazy. Yeah, that was insane because especially I think that was like kind of during COVID?
Yeah, so to paint the scene a little bit and just like give some context before you talk, I think that's around the time, I have a terrible memory. I think that's around the time you popped on my radar and I kind of like knew who you were and got to meet you and stuff like that. So it's 2020, COVID's going on in really kicks off in March. Everyone's locked inside. No more sneaker lineups, no more sneaker raffles. It's all online. It's kind of, it's just a super weird time. And then it's later in 2020. I'm bad with months, but
Yeah, we probably dropped them in like September or something.
I was gonna say I thought October, so September would make sense.
Yeah,
But
so October,
amidst all of that, you then start seeing this rollout campaign that I think you and Adam are spearheading of these Adidas forums, which is, again, I think, if the way I remember it, at least, and I might be a little bit biased, I remember politics kind of leading the campaign wave on forums coming back, because they weren't really a thing. And then shortly around that time, you see bodegas doing a pair and social status is doing a pair and stuff like that. But that's around the time I remember you I learned more about who you were, was this campaign that y'all were doing to promote these.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit more about that campaign and like kind of how y'all were rolling it out.
Yeah. So Adidas forum, Adidas had contacted. I wasn't really involved within like the back and forth with Adidas, but from what I understand, we were one of a few different boutiques who they approached to start bringing the forum back. Fortunately for us, we were the first one to roll it out.
Yeah.
And
huge.
I think that was, they were so pleased with it. They were super excited. So basically, I think it's what, 500?
500.
Yeah.
500 pairs.
So 500 pairs were produced and we gave them all away.
I know.
Yeah.
Which is just like further insane in the midst of COVID. I don't want to tell the story for you, but I'm so excited I will. That like in the midst of COVID, not only is there going to be a sneaker lineup and release, which like we've all been dying for, they're free.
Yeah.
They're potentially free. It's just like insane. Like I just remember everyone in line that day. We went to the Baton Rouge one at Overpass Merchant. And just like the energy and the mood in the line was like ecstatic. Everyone was so excited to be there.
It was cool. Yeah, it was really cool. So basically, we partnered with different local businesses in each of the locations where our stores are based. And we partnered with them, and basically it was like a give back to the communities within our, respective locations. So, for example, for Baton Rouge, we partnered with them. I think they actually created a special menu item for us.
They did the Adidas as a menu item, which was all day I dream about shrimp toast. I guess the T is silent.
Better memory than me. Yeah.
I only obsess about
must have been good.
Well, I think we got it. Houston and I were there. It was pretty good. I think they'd made them all ahead of time and they were just so it was like kind of lukewarm, but like much more so just about being there, you know? So
yeah, that was awesome. And then what basically we, got everyone to go to these businesses, buy something to support that business, and then you would get a ticket or some sort of voucher that you would be able to go pick up your shoes at the politics.
Yeah.
Or location.
The one in town.
Yeah.
So that was a great one. But yeah, the roll up leading out to that, y'all had partnered with a lot of different prominent figures, athletes and stuff like that. And you just kept saying it was a solid week or 2 weeks up ahead until the release. There was like every day there would be a new post.
Yeah.
And just sitting at home, like in a fever pitch, like I need these, I need these, I need these. So.
Yeah, it helped that everyone was at home because we made everybody really want those things because like you said, I mean, that was at the time that I was in Baton Rouge. So Adam and I were just running around shooting a bunch of different personalities. We went to New Orleans to do the same thing.
Yeah.
And then he actually ended up going to Dallas because we had the store open there.
Yeah. I remember everything in between.
Right. So yeah, it was awesome. Got to meet a lot of awesome people and just hear their stories and give them shoes.
Yeah.
And take their photos. So
super fun time. So I remember these coming out, it's not the most popular silhouette at the time, but I think like a lot of the thing that I love about sneaker photography and what you do is that like your photography can sell someone on a shoe that they weren't sold on, whether they just saw it in store, sometimes it's better in person, but sometimes you just have to see it styled the right way. And you're like, oh, that's cool. That actually hits. Has there ever been a shoe for you that like either you got it, you open and you're like, we're going to have to put in some elbow grease on this one to sell it, or one that like you took the picture and you're like, that's just fine. And then it really just kind of popped and took off, or like the pictures came out better than you thought.
Totally. Yeah. That happens all the time. I mean, we end up taking photos and then I'm like, oh, I need
you sell yourself on
it. Yeah, that happens a lot. So I'm trying to think about that. It's honestly like the newer silhouettes. It's the ones that are more experimental, more something that it's not, on the shelf at Academy right now.
Right,
It's something like the first couple runs of the new Scorpion.
The Air Max.
Yeah, the Air Max Scorpions.
Yeah.
And there's a cool story about that we actually got to see him firsthand in New York.
Okay.
We went out there and checked him out at 21 Mercer. But I feel like some newer designs like that, if the customer isn't, if they don't have any knowledge on the product yet, we kind of have to enable that and teach them about it. Yeah, and that can consist of like, on foot photos, like just diving into more details of the product, like how would this be styled,
right?
How can you style this? What is the purpose of, why are these why are things like this designed like this, and how can you create it and make it look better for your consumer?
Do the brands often give you any sort of like reference or guideline for that, or is it mainly kind of relying on your own intuition?
Yeah, it just depends on like what type of product it is. I mean, newer release stuff they do. I'm trying to think of a different example, or one that actually popped off after the fact.
Yeah. Like when New Balance sends you the latest, they go, you have to promise not to put these on your hands and walk around the office in them.
I know.
I love how you so casually said "I know," as if like that wildly broad assumption is like, yeah, Ryan, you get it. Yeah,
no, you do. Yeah, I'm gonna have to come back to that because I really want to give an example because I know there are some. It has to be, you know what? Okay, it has to be something like some of the new, like a new Puma or something, like something that, just it's a cool shoe and there's a customer for it, but that's when you have to support it with
right.
You have to, that's what we have to support it with, creative, and that can be, we'll do some regular product shots. Let's throw it on a model too, and
do some lifestyle stuff with it.
Yeah, do some lifestyle stuff, and brands really appreciate that, because we're trying to push their product, and it's usually like a new innovation that they want to, they're bringing straight to the market, and the boutiques like us are probably some of the first stores to receive that product.
Yeah.
So they're entrusting us to,
tell their story.
Exactly.
And make it hype as well.
Yeah. So that's a really important part of our job.
Yeah. I think a lot of that is kind of how you said, like bringing up Puma and things like that. Like the kind of like more of those like quieter brands, not really quieter brands, but not, when people think of sneakers, they think of like Nike and Adidas. So those other brands, New Balance, Asics, Puma, being able to really be like, hey, they're going to try something super wild. So we're going to have to, like you said, really almost do kind of like a fashion board of like, this is how this would look. Shoe is more for this kind of like laid back fit. This shoe is more for this more streetwear outfit, things like that. And especially with kind of maybe those lower brands, because kind of the bigger brands you're going to buy it just because of that name. I do feel like whenever I see a lot of the shots, the shoots look almost a little bit more like amped up for those like Pumas and New Balance and things like that. And I guess that kind of makes sense of like, okay, how do we really show people who are into sneakers, but maybe they're more of like the casual where they only are going for like specific Jordans or things like that, being like, hey, this is also just as hype as this big name that the story about. I don't have to sell you on the story. But do you feel that you put more energy whenever it's like, okay, this is a completely new silhouette, or this is more of that not big name brand? Do you feel like you're like, okay, let me pour a little bit more into this and have a little bit more fun with it because I have more of that job of trying to sell this product, where a Jordan 1 is almost just going to sell itself?
I was gonna say, not that your job is like necessarily like you're there and it's like, if it doesn't sell, I didn't do my job.
Yeah.
But is there any point at which you go like, whether I take a picture of the reimagined White Cement 3 or not, we're selling out of them, and it's like, and the other stuff might need more push.
Yeah. And that's a huge part of my job, is trying to decide what we need to support, what product we need to support, that comes in, because I mean, we get a lot of stuff. I mean, things that I wish we could take a photo of every single shoe, and we do take a lot of photos of shoes, that's why we have so many photographers and why we want to create that energy around all the product that we carry.
Yeah.
So it's things like shoots for Saucony, or things like I'm trying to
Solomon's kind of like
Solomon,
right now.
like new Solomons.
Yeah.
We're trying to engage and basically educate the consumer on like, oh, like this is like the next thing. You saw New Balance Saucony. I mean, you saw New Balance with what they're up to. And how their whole their whole thing has changed. Like dad shoe, that's still around.
Yeah.
They still have that customer, but now they have like the more streetwear style type
100%.
customer. Everything that like all the energy like Salehi has created around New Balance, and then like with the protection pack sort of designs too, and so that for example could be like what a Solomon is right now. We picked them up recently, and like we put in work within those types of shoots just to educate the consumer, because not everybody, your Jordan 1 consumer isn't gonna straight up grab a pair of Solomons.
Yeah, for sure.
But you could show them. You could.
And I think it definitely starts with creating that like visually appealing kind of like ad for it, and they'd be like, oh, I didn't see them in this aspect, but because of this, I'm now more interested in trying to look into this brand or this silhouette, and like maybe now this is how my shelves are going to be filled.
Yeah, everyone's style changes, like I'll be honest, like I have these on right now, but I have a pair of Ons that I've been wearing to like work out and run in,
yeah.
So
yeah, for sure.
It changes. And I honestly was not a fan of the Ons 3 years ago.
They're super popular right now.
Yeah, they are. So.
I literally dogged on Crocs for like the first 3 years of this podcast. And then the second Salehi touches, I'm like, well, they have a perspective. They have a view. And I wear those. If people who like listen to this knew how much I was wearing those versus like wearing like actual sneakers, they'd probably question the credibility of this whole thing we're doing here.
Well, to be fair, once you make that slip into a Croc, it's
once you get that cozy. Yeah.
Don't even start talking about that the off-road 4x4,
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Yep.
Going fast. Yeah. Speaking to the amount of sneakers that y'all get, I want to kind of like peek behind the curtain here for a second here. Is there a method, or like how is it determined for all the sneakers y'all get who's shooting what? Like, are all of your photographers are in Dallas, or there's still some in Lafayette or New Orleans?
Yeah, so Joey and Dustin are in Lafayette, and then for the rest are in Dallas.
Okay, gotcha.
I mean, that's part of my job. So basically, we hit the drawing board, see what's coming in, see what has come in, see what we're expecting, and basically we prioritize, how important the different things are, and something cannot be as important, but still needs to be supported with photos, and so it's crazy because like we'll have this list, we're like, okay, everything's good, and then something comes in and it's like, we need, this actually
Fire
releases
drill
this week,
and
everyone's like running around, we gotta, so I try to limit that as much as possible by keeping everything,
planning what we can. Is there any favoritism where you go, hey, Joey and Dustin, we got the Ama Meniere 12s coming in this week, and also some new Puma slides. I'm going to send you guys the Puma slides. Don't worry, we got the 12s over here.
No, we everybody gets a shot at knocking some real cool product out. I mean, if I know somebody, one of our guys is like super down with some product, or like knows, has great, like Dustin, for example, kills it with like the retros, everything, Jordan and Nike, like he kills any Air Max any Air Max shots.
Gotcha.
Joey's been doing awesome with video, creative video and stuff. And then so we're just talking about shoes, like there's also like clothing that we need to focus on as well, which we're getting a lot of new clothing in, a lot of new product. And a couple of our guys in Dallas, Moody especially kills it with like editorial style. Moody and Gus are awesome at shooting, on body apparel shots too. So
are you doing much of that, or are you mainly doing footwear?
Whenever I am able to shoot, I kind of just pick up what needs to be done.
Okay, gotcha.
Or focus on big picture. Like I really we are trying at Politics to create a lot more energy around, our private label and the collaborations and the events, and now that that's up and running again. Yeah. So, in projects like that where we obviously need more than one hand. Yeah. That's where I'll be able to. I come in and help wherever I can. Okay. But whenever if something comes in, like for something fire drill, I'm usually the backup to just be able to handle
You're
anything.
getting kind of pulled in at that point.
And
Yeah.
everybody else keeps it running smoothly. So
How many photographers do y'all have on staff now?
Well,
Because I
including me,
always
7.
feel like 7.
Yeah.
I always feel like y'all have so many, and then I see a post that you're hiring more. And I guess I need you to explain to me, why do you need so many photographers? I get that y'all are getting a lot of product, but like, I just feel like I don't get it.
Were you able to see our new website?
No, I didn't. Y'all redesigned the website?
Yeah. Ben, director of e-commerce, he's been spearheading that whole venture. Recently updated our website. We're basically trying to create more a better user experience, for our online customer, because we have, that's really important, especially in this day and age. Like, and I think through the pandemic that showed us like how much people engage with our website.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, we saw that and we were like, we can make this better.
Yeah.
We can make the user experience better. And a lot of that comes with product. So product detail photography.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like, the on-white photos, on-white shots, on body, like apparel shots for like our higher end, apparel brands. Like if we're getting in brands like Purple and, let me think what else, like ABC and these higher end brands that, they have like $250 jeans or, a $400 jacket. Like we just got 424 in, like these more luxury brands. It helps the online customer experience being able to see how it fits,
style it, how it fits. Yeah,
that sort of thing.
I get that.
And they feel more like we're more reliable as a brand because we're, supporting the product even greater.
Yeah, for sure.
With those type of shots. So, the reason why we have these like that amount of photographers is because that stuff is just as important as shooting the stuff that everyone sees on Instagram.
Right. Okay.
100%.
That makes sense.
So it's a lot of the ability. Is it whoever makes the shot? Do you have a separate like editing team, or is it also just like if this person's shooting this, they're going to be out to not be able to shoot a certain product for X amount of time because not only have to shoot it, but then they have to edit it and things like that? Or is it just the photographer, like that team just does the shot and then they send it off to, do y'all have a separate like editing department?
No, yeah, we photographers edit whatever they have.
There you go. So what is like, I guess like a typical turnaround for either footwear or like the apparel that you'll have? Like how long is that time frame of, hey, from basically shooting it to posting it?
So there's a couple different answers. So I mean, from putting it online, like if we get product in today, I would say we would want to be able to put the same product online after we take white box photos. It's different from shoes are easier than apparel. Shoes, it's a lot easier to take a photo of a shoe than laying this shirt down, making
flat,
it
folded
look
perfectly.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And there's like a whole method behind the madness of how that's,
Oh, dude, I don't even doubt it.
Yeah, and it's attention to detail, and I'm so, thankful for all the guys that we got to be able to knock that sort of stuff out. But back to the question, like anywhere from we usually try to knock things out within that week. So like it just depends on the person too, It depends on the person, depends on what other things they have going on, workload at politics already. But I mean, it's a variable, but we try to get everything up within, the next week or two. I'm talking about a lot of stuff, like if we get 3 new brands in, we're going to try to have them online and have creative photos within like 2 weeks. Yeah. Which is pretty good turnaround.
Yeah, for sure.
Especially because like the amount of volume of things we get in. Shoes are a lot easier. We can get shoes up the day we get them in if they're just general release.
Well, and especially with how many you have under your belt, you probably know what works, what doesn't work pretty quickly.
Yeah, there's like a science behind it. So.
Yeah,
100%.
For sure.
And then speaking with the website, I need whoever is doing the sales to chill. Okay? Because I don't remember when it was. It was like a couple weeks ago. It was literally like every day was like, yesterday was 6%. Today's 70.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, well, now I got to get more. Than it's like, oh, you remember how that was 70? No, it's 80%.
Put the hurt on.
And I'm like, oh, well, what brands? And then politics has a nerve to be like, everything.
Everything.
So
chill.
Yeah. Chill. I've already, I'm trying to recover. You know what I mean? So while I do appreciate it, it was tough because I was like, all right, I feel like I got everything. And I'm like, there's something
I
else I
could
could buy.
always go back for a little
So
something.
yeah, and I guess that would make sense to how you said with all of that reworking of the online. What a better way to drive people to that new, of like either I had experienced the Politics online store, but because we live locally, we can just go in. It's a lot faster to drive people to be like, hey, we've revamped it. We have a whole nother thing to kind of go back and get those sales in. So yeah, I appreciate the pause on it because I've been trying to recoup from like
Some breathing room.
Yeah, I was like, all right, well, I've got plenty of Politics merch and sweatpants and things like that now. So I was like, very fit. Perfect timing. Also buying only sweatpants with summer coming up right out of the way. Didn't forethought that at all. Yeah,
Line
not
that
correct.
up.
We are not responsible for your shopping addiction. Okay?
Fair.
Going back a little bit, I realized I didn't ask it earlier. So you were saying, kind of when you got on board with Politics, you realized what a whole world this whole sneakers thing was. Were you super into sneakers before you started at Politics? And since working there, what has your sneaker collection grown to be like?
Yeah. So, no, when I started, I mean, my sneaker experience as a whole, I mean, the first time I remember buying shoes for me, I bought some Nike Flyknits, at the
They had a
academy.
grip.
Yeah.
The Flyknits had a grip for
Yeah,
a
some
while.
Flyknit
Yeah.
some runners, they're black and white pandas,
Classic.
half
Big.
Classic.
Yeah. So before after that, I remember going to Politics before I worked there for a Black Friday sale. Big sale guy too. Yeah.
Big sale guy.
Got some there were some Diodoras. We don't sell them anymore.
I know.
I think they're a European brand. I can't remember.
I don't know, but
My one pair I got from y'all.
super quality stuff. Like I love brands like that and like Saucony that'll like put the craziest, nicest materials on them. Yeah.
Yeah, so Diodoras, I didn't even walk in there, get a pair of Diodoras. I've never heard of them before.
Yeah.
But really my sneaker game and what I knew about it didn't really pop off till the Ultra Boost era of the Koval of everything, and that's when things were pretty crazy. So I was trying to get I was trying I remember the first crazy shoe I ended up getting was the Kith Ultra Boost.
The red ones?
Yeah, the
with
mid.
no laces on them?
No, they had laces on them,
okay.
but they were the same color. The laces were the same color.
Okay.
That stuff. Ultra Boosts were a big kick. And then one of the first Jordans I got were the Travis Scott 4s.
Okay.
Oh wow.
I bought those.
Wow.
That's a casual
but
first
this is
one.
this is how how much I didn't know what was going on. I was I got them, and then my friend was like, dude, I really want these, I was like, you can buy my pair, and I sold them to my friend. And I didn't know I knew who Travis Scott was, I was listening to his music, but I was like I didn't know the energy behind everything, and I was like,
you can't just go pick up another pair.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. But and then once I, that was right before I left, or was that right before? Was those 2017?
Oh,
I don't
the
remember.
fours?
I do not remember.
2017 or 18.
Seems like it would be 17 or 18. Probably, it's got to be 17 or 18 because we started podcasting in 2019, and they were a couple years before.
Yeah.
that.
Okay. Well, I remember working in the Baton Rouge store. First pair of ones I got were the with a red toe.
Oh,
ones.
nice. I thought you were gonna say the Travis
were they
Scott
bread
Jordan
toe?
ones.
Yeah, bread
Bread
toes.
toe.
I
Yeah.
love the bread tails now.
Yeah, and I still have them. I'm never getting rid of those.
Classic
They're
pair.
amazing.
Really clean pair.
And then that's kind of when things started to grow,
Yeah.
build up. And what was I really into? I was into Air Maxes.
Yeah. Classics.
I had one of my favorite pairs I still have. My college days are I would wear my shoes and they were disgusting.
To the ground.
Yeah, to the ground. I would keep some, pretty clean, but a pair of my favorite Air Maxes that I have, they're an all white leather pair with a red jewel swoosh.
Clean.
And I think my favorite part is the sole of them has a huge Nike check on them.
Oh, does it?
And it's a translucent sole.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're
on the bottom of it?
Yeah, on the bottom of
Yeah.
it.
I'm a sucker for a translucent sole.
Yeah,
Hard to keep clean,
icy sole. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're yellow.
I was like, can you still see the swoosh on
You
the
can still
bottom?
see it, but big into Air Maxes. I really just started to get on more New Balances within the past 2 years.
They've been blowing
Yeah,
up in the
yeah.
recent years. Yeah.
A lot of 990. I have two 990 V3s.
Mm-hmm.
I have the Blue Soleil 2002.
Oh, with
That's
like
really
the
cool.
real long like
Yeah,
suede
the
on
furry.
them. Yeah.
Yeah, the
furry
hairy
ones, yeah.
suede. One of my favorite pairs was the React 87.
Oh yes.
Oh man, I wanted to. Which colorway
element.
of those did you get?
The sail ones.
Oh, like the bone colored ones?
Yeah, the bone. Yeah.
I wanted to love those so much. I got these like translucent blue ones with like a pink swoosh on them, and I loved. I found they dug into my Achilles heel so
Really?
much
Oh, yeah,
on the back.
that was a
like
thing,
I
yeah.
have to wear them with tall socks and
Yeah.
just
Oh, I suffered.
yeah.
I suffered. I suffered.
you
for
worked
the-
through that pain.
For the
Fashion over
no-show.
everything, baby.
Yeah.
Fashion over everything.
There you go.
Yeah. So like another example of wearing them to the ground. I didn't wear them to the ground, but I would bike to class
Yeah.
at LSU, and I was a crazy biker, and I like ended up that material super thin.
Oh, yeah.
I ended up like scraping my foot on like a curb, and there's like a
Oh.
huge gash in
Worn
it.
right through.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
I still wear them though, but
Still rocking.
yeah.
Yeah, I think I didn't realize how much of a sneakerhead you were until what I will call an iconic senior photo of you sitting in the bathtub surrounded
Yeah.
by all of your shoes in there. That's so. Did you know for a long time that's how you wanted to do it, or was it like a little bit more spur of the moment?
When I started thinking about like my grad photos, I was like, okay, we'll do the ones like around school and stuff, but
Right.
like more stylized for me. I was like,
Yeah.
this is like, I mean, my vibe. So
Yeah.
the after it turned out great. Actually, like I think PJ Tucker put it on his story or something.
Really?
Yeah. It was
Wow,
funny.
that's
Wow,
huge.
a big
Yeah.
moment.
Yeah, Nice Kicks reposted it. It was funny. They were doing a whole like they were reposting like sneaker graduate photos or whatever, and
Yeah.
I ended up in the carousel.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wish I had a nicer bathtub, but I mean, I guess it was
I don't think
college-
many people were looking at the
Yeah,
bathtub
they
in
might
that
have been-
picture, to be honest.
Yeah.
How clean's that grout?
Yeah.
yeah, didn't bleach it earlier, but
Yeah.
um,
Speaking of Nice Kicks resharing your photo, not to kind of get too far off topic here, but what is the feeling nowadays or in the past years where like one of the pictures you might have taken for Sneaker Politics, you see like a Sneaker News or a Nice Kicks or a larger organization like Shoe Podcast reposted to their story? What is that feeling like to see your work like shared to this even wider audience?
yeah, no, that's what we strive for.
Mm-hmm.
That's like the goal of all this product
Yeah.
photography is like we want to engage in a larger audience. So like getting on these sneaker podcasts. I mean,
Shoe Podcast. Yeah, getting on Shoe Podcast,
But-
the largest platform you could get. It's all
Good moment.
downhill from here. Go ahead.
Getting on these sneaker blogs is really what we our whole goal is with shooting these photos, because we gain traction from them. They become educated on sneaker politics. We gain customers, and then the sneaker blogs get to post cool photos. So I mean, we have a relationship with them where I don't know this for a fact, but I feel like sometimes they'll just go on our website to see if we have
Shop it.
photos of
Yeah.
like these shoes that they're like, oh, let's post some more of these
Yeah.
photos. I don't know that for a fact, but
It seems like it. It seems.
yeah, it's great, and I love when, I mean, not even me, but I love when any of our guys their photos get on Nice Kicks, Sneaker News, any of that, because I know it gets them fired up and like they get a kick out of it. So
Yeah, for sure. Super cool to see.
yeah.
Well, all the fun topics aside, we got a couple of fun questions we will ask you at the end of the episode here. Pretty unscripted, just kind of off the top. Do you have a couple lined up? I can start us off if you
Yeah,
want.
go ahead and get me
Okay.
started.
First question I've got for you. Do you know how many W's are in your Instagram name?
11.
Wow.
Hope you got your question. Hope
We
you
did
got-
not. We did not.
I was like, there's no way he knows how many W's there are.
Yeah, it was all the other ones were taken. So
Fair enough.
I'm waiting to just get the one with the single W, but
single.
Stu, just single W? That's
Yeah.
cold.
How far into your career do you send the DM of name your price?
I don't know. I've tried to report some, like the ones
accounts.
the ones with 3 W's. I'm like, this account's like inactive. Like,
You haven't
nobody's
posted.
using
Yeah,
it.
100%.
You got to get out of
Like,
here.
fake. They're
Yeah.
trying to be me. but
100%.
Nothing's happened.
I don't want to break into the relationship here, so you can plead the fifth. Favorite athlete that you've gotten to work with, and you can adjust that question to save relationships. As you finish.
Probably. I don't know. Cam Jordan's a really nice guy. He's just a real funny dude and is nice, and he enjoys like our work and stuff. And I mean, whenever I've gotten to be around him, like he's been real friendly, like not even, how that sometimes athletes kind of are some
Ego,
uptight,
yeah,
but
okay.
like, yeah, he's hilarious too. He's a funny guy. So probably him. Yeah.
Okay.
And I hope I'm pronouncing this right. Why do people with the Nikisha not N8000 look down on Fujifilm shooters? Why is that?
Yeah.
Wait, what happens? What do they do?
Nikisha N8000?
Nishika?
Nishika? Yeah, why do people cut it? Why do people with the Nishika N8000 look down on Fujifilm shooters? And that's just a casual question I had lined up.
Yeah,
casual.
That's just something I've been
probably,
thinking about.
I don't know. I'm both though. I have one. Probably
Got me in my own trap. All right.
There you go.
Yeah, I just got a Fuji, but the 3D, I prefer to shoot the 3D photos with the Nishika, but it's just the film thing. So
Got that film hierarchy.
Got me on that one, yeah.
So, due to your recent Instagram activity, I see a lot of slopes. Been on the slopes a lot. Who's the worst person on the slopes at politics?
From the politics team.
Oh man.
Who's riding the bunny
I
hills?
don't know. Oh, the bunny slopes. I'll just throw Blaine under the bus.
Throw him under the
Blaine
bus.
under the bus.
Yeah.
Okay.
Blaine says Fletcher is most likely to go pro. As someone who grew up in Colorado, you back it?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay,
Big
all
testament.
right. Big cred.
We're going to have him on the show just to talk about snowboarding. No sneaker talk
sure
at
you
all
go.
up there.
Is it a mix of snowboarding and skiers, or is it a snowboard elitist?
We let some skiers in our club.
Nah, that's what
Ben's
there
a
you go.
skier, so
Okay.
we let it
All right.
slide.
Fair enough.
How long until y'all open the Colorado location? I feel like for as much time as y'all are spending commuting,
I mean, why are we not? Yeah, you know what I mean.
Hey, it needs to happen.
put that on Derek.
It needs to happen. Yeah.
Needs to
least.
happen. Hey, there
Yeah.
you go. Best politics party.
Best politics party.
Now, this could be a politics either put on party or like a personal party.
Yeah.
Where's the best location that you've gone that was just an immaculate party?
I'd have to say the block party, the quarter.
Yeah. Always a good time. Shut it
That's
down.
energy.
even like for the NOLA Air Force One, like that was fun.
Yeah.
Like, everyone just has a good time in New Orleans.
Yeah.
I think so.
Always good to be out
The
there.
whole city.
The bar in Dallas where we all throw shot glasses at the bell. Has anyone actually hit it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I watch the stories and I see a lot of misses, but I don't know if that's just you putting each other on blast out there.
I think everyone's hit it once.
Is that like in order to get your driver's license, you have to hit it? 'Cause every time I see the story, I'm like, sure enough, there they are out in Dallas throwing the shots at the bell.
Yeah, we don't officially welcome you within Dallas.
Right,
until
exactly. Yeah,
the
you
bell
can't cross
has been
county
rung.
line until
Yeah.
that's fair.
Fantastic.
Anything else?
I think that's all of my silly questions.
Well, man, thank you so much for taking the time sitting down with us. We really appreciate it. Long time in the works. If there's any projects or things upcoming that you want to plug, you can do so right now into that camera.
Yeah, stay plugged on politics, sneaker politics on all platforms. We got some new stuff coming probably later within this year, so just stay tuned and appreciate y'all. Yeah.
Of course,
thanks.
appreciate you, Stu MacFadyen. Thank you again for coming on the show.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone out there, for watching another episode of Shoe Podcast. Please, wherever you're watching this, like that, hit the subscribe button. We greatly appreciate it, and we'll catch you all in the next one. Peace.